Hey everyone! Decided to make an acoustic, as you can tell from the intro video. Decided to make an acoustic guitar to go along with my electric, pedal, and amp I've made a while ago. Getting the old ensemble of instruments together. But getting back on topic here, I've made a build overview detailing the guitar a while ago. But to summarize the video, I talked about how I designed the acoustic, that this is the second version out of 3 of the guitar that I've made on the program. The first one, the upper bout was ugly and it was way too big among like other issues with the build itself. The third attempt didn't just really work out at all. I was trying to do something different with the sidewalls, and it did not work. I also went over some of the issues of the electric guitar I made and other things that I brought over from that model that I used. And yeah, I talked about that as well. I chose the colors of white and reddish brown because it looks nice. Also on the side profile, it like the body also made it look like a giant ice cream sandwich. So yeah, I dubbed it Project Ice Cream Sandwich. So yeah, that's also that as well. Okay, now onto the aluminum truss rod and bracing. Okay, so first of all, it's thick and heavy. It pokes out from the fretboard, stopping 1 stud short of the headstock, and reaches 2 studs before the end of the fretboard. The 4 holes in the piece are threaded to bolt onto the top bracing, the other aluminum piece. The top of the bracing is big and chunky as well. Starts off 1/2 inch for where it bolts into the truss rod, and drops off a little to accommodate the base plates glued to the top of the bracing. There's a large route in the middle of the sound hole, and the back portion is big enough to anchor the strings through the block, and for the bridge to give support for when the strings are pushing down on the saddles. Okay, now onto the build montage. Taken with a webcam taped to my ceiling. Unfortunately, quality is not the greatest, but still got the footage. The lighting was really weird with this thing, and there was no way to actually set it up. It was just like a little cheap webcam, but it's what I had to actually make it work. It was the only thing, like my camera didn't really reach down from the ceiling to the table. I could have taped that up on there, but that would have been way more dangerous to drop that. And same case with my phone. Plus, it would have been harder to start that video anyways, and plus also the camera on my phone was kind of damaged too. So yeah, 10 hours and 3 sessions to build this beast. It took me 3 sessions. Took me that long because I kept on forgetting pieces, so I actually had to go back to my list. I had to. At the first time, I just went with like the pieces that I forgot to order and ordered it. And then the second time, I realized that even with some of the pieces I already have ordered, that I did not order the full amount. So I had to go through my entire list, count all the pieces I had, and also double check to see if I needed any extra pieces. Which yeah, was pretty much like, obviously the best idea at the end. Had to do that because when I was ordering through Bricklink, I would go through all the sellers that I picked pieces for, and then I would try to like compile down the pieces down to like just say it had like 30 sellers. I would try to only order from 10 to really save on shipping costs, because yeah, this was mighty expensive. And yeah, I guess like through doing all that, I ended up forgetting some pieces. And yeah, might as well talk about why I decided to build the acoustic. Was deciding to build an acoustic out of like fiberglass with like an aluminum top, and like make my own neck out of wood and stuff. But after making my Lego electric and talking to a couple people plus a guitar tech, after getting work done on my airline guitar, yeah, we were talking about it, how like it wouldn't work and stuff like that. Like I wasn't too sure this was gonna work either. Like honestly, this was like me just actually just throwing money at something that I completely thought would not work out, and I decided to get serious and actually build it. Might as well be the first one to actually make it. The guitar is copied after my jumbo-bodied acoustic, as it looks more shapely than a dreadnought style. Plus, also it was a little bit more of a challenge to actually design. Like I said, I tried to do it 3 times. And the second time was like better, but the third time, like when I was trying to make the sidewalls, I was trying to make it a little bit different, and it just did not work out. The sound hole I made a little bit more of a square shape than a round because it just fits the style, and like Lego pieces are square, so I like when I first designed the sound hole, it was actually round, and I decided later on, I was like, you know what, let's change it up. Let's make this look a little bit cooler. Looks neat. Yeah, the guitar is massive. The body is deeper than any case I tried to fit it in, but that was by design, and also a whoopsie. My dreadnought body guitar is, I think, the thickest one I have by about like 5 inches. I think that's what like the size of it is. And the acoustic beats it out with, I think it's like 5.5 to about 6 inches. So yeah, so I have to go with like a gig bag or something like that if I want to carry it around. There were no, like, I didn't make no Venetian or Florentian body cuts. I didn't know if that was going to affect the sound. Speaking of sound, no electronics were added. I want to keep it fully acoustic. The only parts that were glued are the Lego pieces and the base plates to the aluminum, the frets, and the string pins. The rest are all mechanically joined as normal, as Lego should be. The cost of the used Lego pieces is around $800, the aluminum and machining about $500, tuners and fret wire were about $100, making this project $1,300 give or take, like shipping and handling. Let's just call it that. Part count was 2,300 plus. Weight for the Lego portion is 9 pounds. Altogether is about 12.6 pounds due to my scale. Probably the heaviest acoustic ever made. I went with no strap buttons because I didn't feel like breaking my shoulders and spine. Don't know how far along a spinal reconstructive surgery is, but I don't want to go through that because of this thing. The heel is removable, but will probably stay on there. I never really play past the 12th fret anyways. I could just like remove it and put a bass plate if I ever wanted to play it there, but never really play past the 12th fret on an acoustic. I've always, it's really like chords and like, even if like the single notes, I just play at like the lower frets. I just kind of like that sound better. And yeah, if I do, I can just take care of it, but honestly, it'll probably just stay on there anyways. Yeah. I also decided to snap a shot when I dropped the guitar off the stand, had to pry the body open to replace a few of the pieces. Again, showing the body is not glued. Yeah. When I stopped the first build session, I took a photo of the bottom to show the bracing. Don't know if what I made may be too thick and is making a big difference in the sound. And structure, obviously. I used axles and 1x2 bricks with the axle holes to add strength but springiness to the back. Took the top off after I finished the build to measure for the top bracing. Here's the end pick when I had the string pinholes drilled and fitted. The bridge looks like a standard acoustic bridge, because that's obviously what I would go for, and the saddles are mostly intonatable as much as Legos can, intonate. Not shown, but also used torch tip cleaners to cut the string slots on saddles. Alrighty, on the underside of the top before the bracing was put in, I want to show where the truss connects to the bracing. And now here's the completed top and neck portion of the guitar, showing where the strings go through and the opening for the sound hole. Now, to the headstock showing where the truss rod ends, the white base plate makes it look better when looking at the guitar up front. Now onto the tuners, showing the Grover to be installed into the head. Went with those because I didn't want to cheap out on the tuners, and I love the feel of Grover, so yeah, I went with that. Here we are mid-drilling the holes. What a pain to do. Again. And here we are post-installation. Gonna need to rethink about how to drill for the screw. Drill bit kept on finding voids to bend itself into and shifting the tuners after I tried to drill them straight. But yeah, they're in secure, so yeah, that's good. So now onto the big part. Fretboard work, woohoo! Starting off, we are measuring fret distance. I used a wooden ruler because I was actually able to tape the ruler to the side of the fretboard to actually be able to help me with where I need to measure or mark the measurement. The scaling is 643 millimeters or about 25 3/8. Went with that because I did, mostly from screwing up the electric and deciding to keep it for the acoustic. So yeah, was originally going to be 22 frets, but later realized that wasn't really necessary. Plus, also, it would have screwed me over when I was cutting for the last fret. I would have probably just broken the Lego piece. And now to the newest part of me, cutting the frets. or the slots. Did a few practice cuts off the guitar to test and see how the tiles would react, and it worked out great. But when cutting it at different spaces and with the studs underneath made cutting the pieces at different spaces feel so weird from the center of the piece to in between the tiles. It never felt the same. Here's a quick shot of the cut pieces showing I went through them. Looking back now, I wish I would have went with shorter tank frets. Did some extra work on the fret slots with a triangle file, so the fret wire can sit better and to deburr some of the plastic shavings. Nothing much. And now we're on to the installation. Was able to test fit the frets beforehand to make sure that the cut depth was sufficient. And yeah, had to press fit them by hand, because if I used a hammer, the Legos would have broke. Which some of them decided to break anyways, due to the age, cracks, brittleness, and some of the cuts being too deep. My bad. The pieces that didn't break bent up due to the fret tangs, which I figured would have happened, but leveling would take care of that. I glued the frets in place to make sure that they don't fall out, and also not shown here, but I used a plank and some heavy weights to help try to press the frets down. Here we are post installing the frets, all 21 of them. Was nerve-wracking now to screw anything up at this point, but everything worked out, so yeah, it's good. Working on the frets now. Went and chopped off the fret ends a little closer to make filing them down a little bit easier. Filing them down now and making the frets roll up a little so that they don't catch the strings or cut my hands while playing. Leveling the frets was a pain due to some of the pieces bowing up on some frets, but that's fine, just a little extra work to bring them down to the right size. Crowning the frets to make the flat tips a little bit more to like a narrow point. And now polishing the frets to get rid of the filing / sanding marks and for the strings to glide while bending. I went from 320 to 3000 grit paper. Taking the tape off the neck now to show the finished frets. Made a mess on the guitar and had to use some compressed air to blow off shavings. But yeah, looking beautiful. I had the test strings I used to set up the guitar initially, but decided to record me changing the strings. Went with Ernie Ball Earthwood mediums to see if the guitar would handle it, and it did perfectly. Plus, even with a thick truss rod, the action was set pretty much perfectly, surprisingly. Didn't even snap the bolts on the aluminum truss and bracing, plus headstock isn't bending. So overall, a complete success. Before I end things off, I want to say thank you to everyone who've watched this far. I know videos weren't really the best and I ran into many problems while making this video. This is my first time documenting a full build, but I've thought of better ways for the next builds I wanted to make. I'm probably going to go step by step and then make like a whole summary video at the end. It would definitely be a lot easier than the way I did it. The way I did it was really bad. Speaking of next builds, one guitar model that I would love to own, but probably will never do to rarity and price. Probably save that for a surprise, I guess. And the next I would love to make is either like a bass guitar or a pedal steel guitar. And heck, even one day make like a whole grand piano. But yeah, thanks for watching. Here's a comparison video between the Lego Acoustic, a few regular acoustics I own, and my Lego Electric. Might as well just toss that in there. Enjoy!